Let's create our table again. I'm just going to copy and paste it this time. And let's now change a table. Sometimes you'll have to do this, right? So I'm going to say alter table ingredients, and we're going to add a column. Okay, and then we're going to add a column of like an image, right? Because we're going to want all of our ingredients to have some like representative image. So I'm going to say add column image, and we're just going to make it another varchar of 255, because for the most part, URLs are not longer than 255 characters. In our case, they definitely won't be. So alter table, you give it the table that you want to change. You tell it what you want to do. You can also drop columns. You can change columns, right, from one data type to another. These are all things you can do with an alter table statement. Okay, so now if I say recipe guru, not recipe guru, it's ingredients. You can see here it now has an image. By the same token, we can alter table ingredients, drop column, image. And now if we do that again, you can see here we had an image up here, and we no longer have an image down here. Yeah.
If you had kept the table with the data in it and tried to add a not null column, could you do that, or do you run into errors?
So the question is if I have a not null constraint, we are going to talk about constraints. You can see here that it says nullable, not null. And if I try and add something that has a not null, what happens? You have to tell it what to do. So I actually don't have anything in that like that in here, but if you just tried to do it and didn't do anything, it would error, right? Because it's like you're trying to do something, these all don't have anything to do. So in general, you're going to give it some sort of default value, or you can give it specifically like, okay, for all of these columns, give this one, this one, this one, this one, this, but you have to provide for that kind of thing. The easiest thing to just say is like, give all of them empty string or something like that, and then go back and change it.
Can we add a column that stores image content?
So I believe the question is like, can I read out the binary data, like actually dump the actual image, not just like a path to the image, but the actual image, and then store that in Postgres? You absolutely can. I'm going to say that 99.999% of the time, that is a horrible idea, and you should absolutely not do that. But it is possible. There is a binary data type that will store something like that. Postgres is not really made, it's made for fast querying and retrieving of information, and you're not going to query by binary data, so storing it there doesn't make a ton of sense. When there's something like, I don't know, Cloudflare or something like that that's much better at storing images and handling images. But if it really is like you're just putting some stuff in there because later you want to get them out, sure, that it does technically fit in there. So let's go back and look at where we were. We dropped image, which we did that. Just like we did above, you can add constraints like unique or not null. Unique will make it so that, for example, let's say we wanted to make sure that no two ingredients had the same image, right? I don't know if that's a constraint you have. You might have it. If you did, you would say add column image varchar unique, right? And that would put a unique constraint on it, which makes sure every insert is different from another one. You could also put not null. In fact, we're going to do that here in just a second with this one right here. But this is saying that it cannot be empty. You always have to provide for it. Even if it's an empty string, you do have to provide for it. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to alter table ingredients. So notice that I didn't put the semicolon here, which means that it's going to think on the next line. It's like, okay, you're continuing your query here. Add column image varchar 255. Add column type varchar 50. I'm making this one only 50 long because I know these types are never very long. Okay, this one we're going to say that it's not null so that everything has to have a type. Oh, and I have alter table, ingredients, add column, image. Oh, I forgot a comma after the image here. So this one right here, you do have to, because I'm doing multiple add columns, I have to put a comma there. So it's usually pretty smart about telling you is like, hey, this is where the parser of SQL lost your train of thought. In this particular one, it's like I was not expecting to see add column type here, which means it came right before it. Okay, and now if I say describe ingredients, you can see here there's now a type, an image, a title, and an ID. These ones are all not nullable, whereas the image is nullable. We don't require it to have an image. Yeah, Dustin.
Are table names case sensitive?
Table names, I believe, are case sensitive. Honestly, good question. No, looks like they're also case insensitive. Today I learned. I've never tested that theory before. No, I'm inviting you to not test that theory either. There are so many data types in Postgres that I just don't even want to get started on with how many there are, but if you want to look through them, these are all of the data types that you can have in Postgres. So many data types. And then, honestly, this is not even it, because you can actually add extensions to Postgres to add things like geolocation data, right? PostGIS, which will allow you to say how far is this point, in Seattle from this point in Minnesota, right? And you can do those kind of calculations using Postgres. That's an extension that you have to add to Postgres to get that. Today we're going to be going over probably 10 different data types, but just know that there's a lot more. So one of the things I wanted to show you here with this alter table, you don't have to do the add columns or drop columns or anything like that one by one. You can do like 5 different operations. I could have these 2, and then I could also drop another all-in-one alter table command, and that would allow me to do that all in one query. The reason why that's helpful, if you might imagine you're trying to modify something that's out in production, right? If it fails, you want it to fail all at once, right? You don't want 3 of them to succeed and 1 to fail. You want everything to fail so that you can go back and try again, so you have one holistic attempt. This is called it's transactional, right? It either worked or it didn't work. It doesn't partially work. So that's the advantage here of doing multiple things on one alter table. Yeah, Mark.
Me and a few other people in chat are getting the error column type of relation ingredients contains null values.
Yep. So this is the question that we were asked earlier. What happens if you try and add a column? So I imagine most of you probably didn't drop your table, right? If you didn't drop your table, that means you have something in there, right? Which would be a bell pepper. So basically here we're trying to add a column of the type that is not null, but there's something there that is null, right? Because if you add a column, that means it's going to add something, and it's not going to have the ability to deal with that.
Start from scratch.
That's going to be easier. Yeah, that's probably what I would do. Drop table, ingredients, and then you can just create table, ingredients.
Yeah, someone just added the words default and then in quotes vegetable, and it was able to do that.
I thought it'd be something really simple like that. I could just not. Here's my thing with SQL. I did a lot of work preparing for this course and getting all these queries correct. I never remember this all off the top of my head. Absolutely never. I Google constantly when I'm doing SQL because it's very specific in terms of what syntax comes where, what quotes go where, what double quotes or single quotes. In fact, I imagine someone right now is probably having a problem of putting double quotes around something. You can't do that. You have to use single quotes when you're talking about values. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you're doing default quote vegetable, use single quotes, not double quotes. let's just go ahead and see it, because I think that might be a useful thing for people to see. Create that table. Come back here, alter table, and then you default vegetable. And there you go. And I'm saying these have to be single quotes specifically.